So, hi, here today I've got with me Magdalena from Visionary Lifestyle, and she's joining me to talk about yoga and her up and coming retreat, which is in Rishikesh. So, hi, Magdalena, lovely to meet you, and thank you for joining me.
Namaste. Thank you so much for the invitation to be
Namaste.
here.
Thank you. So I just wanted to find out a little bit more about you and how you came to your journey of yoga. I know that you travel a lot and you teach, so it'd be great to know how this came into your life and how you got to where you are now.
Oh, sure. Love talking about this. My favorite subject. I started yoga over 20 years ago when I was pregnant with my daughter. I started with prenatal yoga. So I really credit my daughter for leading me to the path. And yeah, so I've been practicing yoga for 20 years. I've been teaching for 10 years. And for the last 3 years, I've been teaching all over the world, traveling to places like India and Bali and all over Europe. And now I'm in Mexico, lots of places. And California, my roots are in California. So I pass through there once in a while as well and see my old students that I was teaching there for many years in a meditation center in Ojai, California. So yoga is just the life path that really resonates with me because I recognize it as really the solution to personal and planetary well-being and happiness. And when I talk about yoga, it's not just, the asana, it's not just the physical practice, it's really the path of yoga.
Okay, fantastic. And I know that incorporates lots of different aspects. So maybe you can talk me through a little bit what resonates with you and your work at Visionary Lifestyle.
Oh, sure. Well, I follow the 8-limb path of yoga, which it originally over 2,000 years ago. So I teach also yoga philosophy because the philosophy is a huge part of the practice. And I really call it true yoga when we go back to the classical hatha yoga that was the origin of yoga. So it incorporates not just the physical postures, the asana, that's only the 3rd limb of the 8 limbs of yoga. But it also includes meditation and includes pranayama, which is the breath work. Most people don't realize that meditation is actually yoga. And the pranayama and also the philosophy is such a huge part of it, just understanding what it really means to be a yogi, which is basically how we interact with the world and with ourselves and our ethics and our morals, like not lying and cheating and stealing and things like this. I mean, this is yoga philosophy.
And I know at Visionary Lifestyle you do a lot of work. I've seen your page, and I know you do a lot of work around healthy eating and healthy food. And I know that that's got a lot to do as well with your up and coming retreats. So maybe you can talk me through a little bit your philosophy about food and and healthy eating.
Sure.
Something we always need a bit more of.
Yeah, absolutely. I love talking about this too. See, one of my favorite hashtag, my favorite thing to say is it's all yoga. Like everything that we could talk about as an aspect of life, I can trace it back and explain to you how it's actually yoga. So food is actually yoga as well, or it's an opportunity to practice yoga because yoga, really the word itself means union, right? So we want to be in union with ourselves, with the planet, with the animals, create a sense of unity and togetherness and mutual care and respect and compassion. So the food is really, I call it conscious eating. And that's what I was speaking about when we met at a conference. I was speaking about that conscious eating and wellness on the road as well. But conscious eating, I do have an e-course that I put out about 5 years ago for conscious eating to help people transition to a plant-based diet, because this is the true yogi food, which is based on the yogic principle of ahimsa, which is in part of those 8 limbs in the philosophy that I was mentioning earlier. So it's ahimsa, really, it means to do no harm or the least amount of harm possible. So we can deduce from that pretty simply that by not causing harm and suffering to animals, we're doing less harm than if we are doing, harm and suffering to animals, which obviously is a part of, bringing animal products to our plate, right? So I teach about that food as a philosophy, but then in terms on a practical level, it's really about a plant-based diet. And then there's another twist that comes with that, with the food, that leads back to my retreat in India, which is also, it was just after I put out my e-course, my conscious eating e-course about 5 years ago, that I got really started studying Ayurveda. So that's been about 5, maybe it's been 6 years now I've been studying Ayurveda. and practicing it personally. And that's really actually been an add-on to my conscious eating. And I'm working on a 2.0 of that to add in the Ayurvedic element, because Ayurveda is they call it like a sister science of yoga, but actually Ayurveda is the big umbrella. It's that ancient Indian medicine system. It's basically a life balancing system. It's the science of life is what Ayurveda actually translates to. And yoga is one of the branches on the tree of Ayurveda. So we just keep going back to the roots here. So Ayurveda originated in India minimum 5,000 years ago, or at least it started being documented 5,000 years ago. And I, on my podcast, which is another piece that your people can look up, is it's the Visionary Lifestyle Podcast. I've interviewed my doctor in India a couple of times, and he really spells out what Ayurveda is if people are interested in learning more. For me, it's been absolutely life-changing, and I use it myself personally. I turn all my clients onto it, and I just see people have major transformations through this. So the retreat is a Panchakarma retreat. So Panchakarma is the cleansing and detoxing aspect of Ayurveda. They recommend people to do it once a year. I did my first one 3 years ago, the first time I went to India, and it was life-changing. I did a 21-day Panchakarma, and what it does is it's like a very, very deep cellular detox of the body, taking all the toxins we've been carrying around for decades, from the food that we eat, the air that we breathe, the stress, the mental stresses of life. So it's a physical detox as well as a mental detox. They really work on the mind, because in Ayurveda, it's about a mind-body type. It is a very holistic medicine and practice. So that's why I'm so attracted to it as a yogi. It makes perfect. But also just, as a human who's very conscious and wanting everybody to be activated in their highest potential, I have found this to be the deepest cleanse possible. And it's actually enjoyable, because you're eating the amazing Ayurvedic food, which is super delicious. And, you're not like, drinking 3 green juices a day and starving and like in deprivation, you know what I mean? You're eating really yummy food. And the way I'm doing the retreat is I'm realizing that the first time I went through it, I would have loved to have had more support, like in terms of daily yoga and meditation. And I was very supported by the doctor and his staff, but it was like, it would have been helpful to have someone else, like even a small group. So I created this event to provide that space holding for people, because it can be quite an emotional, release as well. So it's nice to have someone who's been through it, who understands where you're coming from, that can hold space for you. So that's the role that I'm playing. And the doctor and his staff will be there guiding people through all the physical processes. And I'll be leading some yoga and meditation every day. Plus, we'll go see the Ganges River, and we'll go see some satsangs from some spiritual leaders. And, you'll feed the cows on the street in India. Like, it's a beautiful experience. And it's really life altering to do Panchakarma. The first time that I came out of my first one, I remember so clearly the feeling in my body and in my mind. Like, I literally felt like I could fly to the top of Mount Everest. Like, you just feel light as a feather and so crystal clear. Like, you release all the stuff that's not serving you mentally and physically. It's, you have one day that's kind of intense, that you do the purge, where you really release all the stuff. And that's after the cleanse part. And then you move into restoring. And you just leave there just clean and activated and, just ready to take on the world. It's truly life-changing.
It sounds amazing. And also Rishikesh is a beautiful place to hold a retreat like this, because it's so spiritually cleansing in itself.
Absolutely.
That adding this aspect to it, or going there to do this, is an amazing experience, all combined. Yeah. So
yeah, exactly.
How many days is your retreat, and what can people expect? You mentioned a little bit about the process. What will they go through?
Well, it's 12 nights and 13 days. So the actual Panchakarma is 10 days. So you'll get 3 Panchakarma treatments each day. So how it looks is, you'll come in and you'll have a welcome day. I'll be there giving you hugs and welcoming you. And, for anybody who's like anxious about going to India for the first time, this is like a perfect way, because you're coming straight into my arms, basically. And I've spent a lot of time there over the last 3 years. I go to India for 4 or 5 months at a time, and it's become a second home to me. And the family of the doctors and the retreat center there, like, everybody's so lovely. So You'll get a taxi from the airport, you'll come straight to the retreat center. And then once you get settled, you'll have your first consultation with the doctor. Well, he'll evaluate you and determine what your dosha is. So your dosha is your mind body type in Ayurveda. And, it's a pulse diagnosis. He gives you just like a little, very like, not even really hands-on physical exam. And he'll ask you a bunch of questions and determine what your dosha is. And from there, he'll make your protocol of which treatments are going to be appropriate for you. And this is one of the other things that really resonates with me about Ayurveda. It's not a one-stop shop. It's like really based on the individual and whatever your imbalances may be at the moment, which the doctor will determine during his examination or his intake. It's not really an examination, it's an intake. And then you'll have 3 treatments a day, which are things like oil massages. I had an oil massage every day for 20 days. Like, it's pretty epic. And things like Shirodhara, if you have a vata imbalance, so if you're someone that has a lot of anxiety and like racing thoughts and insomnia and, more stress and anxiety things, Shirodhara, where they drip, warm oil on your forehead, on your third eye for like 30 minutes, and you go into an amazing trance, and it really just completely calms your nervous system, things like that. Everybody will have their own unique protocol. And then you'll get, and they put you in the steam after they do the oil massages. And what this does is it brings all the toxins into your gut. So they're sending everything into your gut. And then somewhere around day 6, you'll do a purge. And that's the most difficult day, because that's the day that you release everything. So basically, the doctor will give you a special medicine, and it will come out either one end or the other. And he decides which one is going to be more effective for you. And he'll say his mantra. And this is so cool. They say the mantra over the medicine. And then you have, your one day that's like, it's really time to let you move into the restoration, which can be things like enemas are part of the medicine in Ayurveda, which sounds intimidating until you're actually there, and then you realize it's actually not such a big deal, and that the benefits that your body receives from that, like if you're a dry person, like a vata person like me, you'll get oil enemas, and it's like you're hydrating from the colon, and your whole body becomes hydrated from within, like things like that.
Wow. Okay. So yeah, so it sounds absolutely amazing and really purifying. So it's a lovely way to get into the year and kind of detox the body, ready for spring.
Exactly. It's right before spring. I've sometimes when I do this event, I call it spring cleaning. Because it's like spring cleaning for the body temple. It's exactly what it is. It's right before spring equinox. So it's like you're launching into the new year and the new decade, just like, you come out of this and you feel like you can take on the world.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Well, it sounds absolutely amazing. So where can people find out more about your retreat if they would like more information or would like to come along?
Okay. Yes. My website is visionary-lifestyle.com. And if you go there and you just type in the search bar, India, it'll come up as the first thing, and all the details are there. There's a registration link, and probably all your questions are answered in there. If not, there's a link to email me, and people can reach out to me with any questions. And I don't mind getting on calls to talk to people to help them like work through if it's right for them. I'm happy to do that.
Lovely. And you're also on Facebook as well. So if people want to have a look or get in touch with you there, they can do that.
Absolutely. I'm on every platform. Search Visionary Lifestyle. In fact, on my website, visionary-lifestyle.com, you'll find my Instagram, you'll find my Facebook. Everything is Visionary Lifestyle and Podcast on Facebook. And then on Instagram, I'm Visionary Lifestyle Guide. So like I said, there's links on my website, but if you just Google Visionary Lifestyle, you should find me on all the platforms. Yeah.
Lovely. And I will also add all your links in the comments to this video as well. All right.
Okay.
Cool.
You froze for a minute. Last thing you were saying was you're going to add my link somewhere.
Yes, so I'm going to add all your links in the comments to this video so that people can find you and reach out to you if they would like more information. It all sounds absolutely beautiful, and I always see your kind of journey on Visionary Lifestyle. So I know that it will be a fantastic way for people to detox in a safe and wonderful environment.
Right, exactly. And I'm doing this every year. By the way, I've committed to doing this. It's my birthday is at the spring equinox, so that's the timing. It's also the best month to be in Rishikesh for the weather. So
Okay.
this is an annual pilgrimage to India to honor our body temples and reset ourselves for the coming year. So if they don't make it this year, can join me next year. But let's do it now. You know, we're at the beginning of 2020. Like it's go time. This is a very important year for the world and for each of us. So this is the perfect time.
I agree. Ooh, lovely. Thank you so much for taking the time today to share about your retreat and everything that you're doing. So I'm going to wrap up here.
My pleasure. Yeah, my pleasure. Thank you, Mel, for the invitation.
Thank you very much. Take care. Bye.
All right.